everybody today? Great. Happy Monday. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Valerie Cooper. I am the Vice President of the Life Plan Communities for Lutheran Senior Services and currently serving as your Interim Executive Director. Thank you. But what I'm pleased to do first today is to introduce you to your new Executive Director, Wade Hachman. So Wade does not officially start with us until July 8th, I believe it is. But he has come here today to introduce himself and tell you a little bit about himself so you know before he gets here.
Thank you very much. Wow, Bethesda's paying me today, too. No, I'm teasing. So my name is Wade Hachman. I will be your new Executive Director. I'm excited to be here. What a beautiful place you all live in. I've never been in a leadership role in a place like this, and I am excited. So, I'll meet all of you soon, getting to know you a little bit, but just a little bit about me. I know there's a big story in the paper and everything, so I have been at Bethesda for 30 years. I started as a nurse in 1994. I know that because it was the year that I got married. My wife was 21 and we got married in July so that she could have a drink on our honeymoon. So that's kind of a funny story about me. I have two children. My daughter, Claire, who is a senior at Mizzou, and my son is 19 and he is a sophomore at the University of Arkansas. So we're proud of those two, and they keep us busy. They're both home now for the summer, and I'm actually ready for them to go back. My wife, Michelle, of 30 years now, she is also in the medical business. She works for Nestle, and she is an account representative for y'all know the boosts and the nutritional kinds of things. She's involved in that part of Nestle. She's not involved in Coffee Mate or Snicker bars or things like that. But so she's been doing that for many, many years. So other than that, that's pretty much my life story. I currently live in Wentzville, Missouri, so it's about 25 minutes from here. I'm on the south side of Wentzville. So I don't take any complaints today, but I probably will when I start. So I'm excited to get to know all of you. And
where'd you go to high school?
Oh, yeah. The St. Louis question. So I'm originally from Herman, Missouri, wine country. So I after talking to a couple of people, I understand there's a resident here that was from Herman. So, lived there for 18 years. My parents had 50 acres out there, so I'm a country boy who turned sort of to the city. So I'm kind of in between. So I enjoy the outdoors. I have a little cabin down in southern Missouri that I love to go to with my kids and friends and things like that. So that's really what Wade's about. So I look forward to seeing all of you and meeting you.
Thank you.
So I'm also pleased to announce that our new Director of Facilities is here with us today. So I would like to introduce Dale Richardson, who is your new Director of Facilities. And he's starting on the same day as Wade. But you might see him around. He's kind of started early.
Good morning. I just want to tell you how excited I am to be here. I feel very honored and blessed to be a part of LSS. Now, I want you to know, independent living is very dear to me. My mother and my mother-in-law lived in independent living, and I seen the joy that it brought to them. Many friends that they met, and as a director of facilities, I knew they were safe. I knew they were in a well climate-controlled environment. So it's very important to me, and I'm excited to be here. I'm pretty well-rounded in my career. And I'm gonna repeat some of the things he said, so you're gonna see I'm much older than he. Okay? He's been married 30 years. I've been married for 40. All right. I am a grandpa. Best thing ever for any of you in here that is a grandparent. I joke sometimes to my wife and I say, I think I love my grandkids more than my own kids. It just happens, it just happens. So I have a son, 34, and I have a daughter that's going to be 36. My daughter's a school teacher, and my son, he works for American Family Insurance. Jackie and I, we've been together since we were teenagers. She works for American Family Insurance as well. She works for the corporate office now from home. So that's what she does. I live in Hillsborough, Missouri, but I grew up in the Manchester-Baldwin area. So I went to Parkway South.
Okay.
So yeah, you all are familiar with that. So it is a real honor and a pleasure for me to be here in this area with all of you and to serve you. That is my mission, is to make sure that you have a beautiful, clean, well-maintained facility. So when I say I'm excited to be here, I really am. And I truly feel blessed to have this opportunity. I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit here because you think of things as you're standing here, but I have 4 grandkids. My oldest is 9, and then I have a grandson 7, and I have another grandson 2.5, and then our newest one is 19 months old. So I sound like my mother when I start to say I want more grandkids. When I was young, she'd say that, I'd be like, that's just crazy, but I'll take as many as I can get. So I think my son and his wife will plan on having a couple more. So again, I'm here to serve. I'm excited to get to know each of you and bring maybe some new things here, or listen to the things that you all need, and make sure that my staff and I can take care of you in the best way that we can. All right? So thank you again. I'm happy to be here.
So there will be a meet and greet for both Dale and Wade in the first week that they're here, where you'll have an opportunity to have some one-on-one conversations with them. So look for that to come out. Next, we are going to shift a little bit from the typical presentation that we do, and then we'll get back to that. But we have some guests today that are going to do a presentation. So, Ron Schaefer, the Chief Operating Officer for LSS, is here. We have Greg Rule. Okay, I don't know any other titles. So we have Greg Rule, Chris Holland, and Todd Hagman. They're the construction people at our home office. Is that okay? Is that okay? Good. Generally, construction, architecture, all those things. But Ron and team are going to give an update on where we're at.
Thank you, Valerie. Again, Ron Schaefer, Chief Operating Officer. I don't think I've been to one of your association meetings before. I've been with LSS for just over a year. And one of the nice things about being so close to the home office is you always get upgraded to Adam when you want somebody from the home office to come and speak. So you've seen Adam quite a bit, but not me yet. And I'm very glad to be here today. I'm going to have to switch. I thought she was going to give the other presentation first. That's okay. Let me switch slides. I get it. That's it. All right. Let's see if it goes. There you go. All right. So what I would like to talk about today is my grandkids. But I would instead talk about the Mason Pointe repositioning project, which, as you know, much of it is underway, but there's a piece of it that has been sort of stalled for the last 12 months. And what has been underway is actually going beautifully. Has anybody been through the new assisted living section? Yes. It's gorgeous. You know, when we talk about how beautiful Mason Pointe is, it's true. You have such a lovely home, and it's getting even more lovely. So, and underway, and I think scheduled to open in January, is that right, is the memory support area. So that's coming. It's a new level of living for Mason Pointe, is what we call memory support. We used to call it memory care, and we realized that we want to be not necessarily just caring for people, but we want to be serving people and supporting them as they continue to do all that they're able to do, regardless of where they are in that dementia process. And everybody has capabilities, and we want to bring the best out of their ability every day. That's part of our mission, is helping them live life to the fullest, whatever that can mean for somebody who's struggling with cognitive impairment every day. That's where we want to meet them and help them find joy. So we're actually changing that name from memory care to memory support. So I would invite you, as that new component becomes more and more real and closer to opening, to join us in using that phrase. And I think it does a nice thing. If you have a loved one, or if you've struggled with any sort of cognitive impairment, I think you'll appreciate that everybody in that process has their own journey, and every day is a little different, and meeting them where they are every day rather than just providing care, providing a deeper support, is definitely a beautiful approach to what we are calling ministry. So, but that's still not what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about what are we going to do after that, and that is with the Hillside building, which is becoming largely, is it fully empty at this point? It's fully vacant. So no partying over there after hours. Well, you can if you want, but try to avoid security. But it's fully vacant, and it is scheduled to be brought down, and a new building is scheduled to be put up in its place. And that new building is being designed to support independent living. And the net result of all of this is what Valerie has lovingly and wonderfully called rebalancing the different levels of living we have on this campus. And the same thing is happening in different ways on other of our communities as well. And that is, what is the right ratio between skilled nursing, the care center, and REACH, and assisted living, and memory support, and independent living? And that's what I want to talk with you about today. I start with a little bit of why are we doing all of this work on this campus and this community to really sort of redesign a lot that was there and add things that weren't there before, and expand areas and shrink areas and all of that. So the project summary, this is not the official purpose statement, which is actually designed, the official purpose statement is designed for the approval process and what do we want to accomplish from the city's perspective. But this is the intent behind the project, and that is to really develop our unit mix, our repositioning the different levels of living and their ratios of size to each other, to be able to develop a sustainable operations that better serve residents within the changing care delivery realities. Now, when I say changing care delivery realities, what I mean is that as recently as probably 2015 to 2018, those few years right before COVID, the acute care hospitals and what we call the post-acute process, which is after people got discharged from the hospital, where they received care, what that care looked like, how long it was available to them, who paid for it, what was supported, all of that changed during those years of the COVID pandemic. And coming out of it, we're finding that it's really different, not only from the hospital perspective and what they are wanting to do after they discharge somebody, because they're often responsible for the care all the way through their full rehabilitation financially, which maybe a lot of people don't know, but all the Medicare dollars typically go to the hospital first, or to the HMO. If you're an HMO member, it goes to the HMO first, and then they're responsible all the way through. So they're looking for ways to provide high quality service that people like in a way that is the most effective for the least dollars possible. That seems like a big order. And what they found is that the way that can happen the best is not always going to a REACH program or a nursing care or a care center program. That oftentimes it might include a little bit of that, But typically, more and more, the interest is getting people to a less institutional setting, their private home if it's possible, to potentially a step-down program, which is sort of a fancy word for a half hospital, half nursing home, and then to home, or back to assisted living, or some other program that is less institutional than a traditional nursing home, which is what our care centers are and what our REACH programs were. Why this is important from their perspective is that, and I don't know about you all, but I've yet to hear, maybe one person said this, but that's probably it in my whole life, in my whole career, said, when I grow up, I want to live in a nursing home. Okay, it just doesn't happen. That's not where the people who are receiving the care want to be. They need the care. We understand that, and you understand that. But the environment is not one that people typically say, oh, thankfully, now I get to go to the nursing home. So a lot of times the seniors don't want that coming out of the hospital. A lot of times it's the more expensive solution because when people discharge to the hospital, the Medicare program also not only pays the nurses and the therapists and social workers to make sure that person is healing correctly, but they're also paying for food and housekeeping and utilities and laundry. And a lot of times there's construction, so there could be debt associated with that building that's built into their payment as well, so that these facilities can be, remain open and be able to be a vital continuing service to the community. So all those extra payments get bundled into what Medicare has to pay also. And they found that if they can discharge people to a less institutional level of care, and preferably to their home, they don't have to pay for housekeeping. They don't have to pay for activities. They don't have to pay for food and dining. Because what happens in somebody's home is that you already have all those things one way or another, ideally, built into your home, your personal budget. Hopefully people have a support network of friends and family who can come along and make sure that the person that is recovering is getting the support that they need. And when that happens successfully, everybody's happier because they think, well, my daughter is a better nurse to me than somebody who changes every shift that I don't know. She loves me, I'm confident of that. She's not stealing stuff out of my drawers when I fall asleep. That support at home is a lot more comfortable. And because the way that Medicare is designed home health, typically people get at least 60 days of support after they come out of the hospital instead of maybe 30 in a nursing home. And that nursing home stay is getting shorter and shorter. And in the home situation, if you still aren't quite where you need to be after 60 days, they'll double it and give you another 60 days. So longer service, now it's not as intense, it's not every day like you get in the nursing home, but it's spread out quite a bit over 60, 90, 120 days. And people at the end of that process often feel like they have a better recovery following the hospitalization than those that were going into a nursing home for 2 or 3 weeks and then being home on their own. So all of that is changing, and yet here at Mason Pointe, what did we have 230 of not too long ago? Care center beds. A lot of care center beds. And so as we look at what's happening, we realize that the need for care center is still there, but it's definitely not supporting the surrounding community the way it used to. And as we look down 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, that need and that reliance on our care center as a community support for direct admissions, not necessarily folks that are coming from other parts of Mason Pointe internally, but coming from the outside in, is going down and down and down. And we said, before the beginning of this project, we really need to change that. We need to get our nursing home, our care center, to the size that it needs to be to support you all. Because you have needs. We want to make sure of that. So we've done actuarial studies and gone back and said, all right, based on where we are, what's the size of care center we need? And if we do this project and we grow independent living and we grow assisted living and we add memory care, we understand from what happens at our other properties, our other communities, how that flows into our care center need. And we said, this is where we need to be. We need to change our unit mix here. So this project is a big part of that. The other piece is that, as you know, we've struggled to find a good, sustainable economic model here. That the care center has cost us a lot of money to operate for a lot of years. The staffing is incredible. The costs of regulatory compliance are incredible. And the declining ability for us to hire staff, coupled with the declining census, means we've had a lot of vacant beds for a long time. And even though we've been kind of winding that community down, that portion of the community down over a while, it still is very expensive to run. And quite honestly, it is not something that we can even cover our costs on, which is hard to believe because not that many years ago, it was an incredible source of revenue to support a community like this. And now it's a financial anchor. So our master plan, even though it started years ago, was actually very forethoughtful and I think very wise to get us to where we are today. So we're retrofitting the existing skilled nursing space to add assisted living and to create a dedicated assisted living memory support neighborhood. We're building new independent living where that existing is. We're going to go through those designs real quickly. We are in the process doing this rebalancing I've been talking about. So this is where we started with our units, talking about balancing and where we're going to end up. We start out with 156 original independent living going into this master planning process. And when we're done, we're going to have 231. So it's an increase. It's not a huge increase. It's about a third increase, about 30-35% maybe. Assisted living is going up, almost doubling, not quite, but getting there. Memory support, I should change that. So I guess I owe a quarter to the memory care swearing jar. But memory support is going from 0 to 37, thankfully, because I think that is a wonderful addition to this campus. It really gives you the assurance that no matter what you or your loved one's future holds, we have the right place to provide the care that you might need downstream. And skilled nursing is going from 230 beds to 35. Now, you might panic at that. We don't panic at that at all because we know that 231 plus 75 plus 37 residents only need that little of a nursing home to be able to support all of your needs and have some ability still to occasionally meet the needs of their surrounding community. Should they need those services and should we have extra empty spots here or there? So we're very comfortable with this approach. We've done a lot of statistical study that says this is the right size for us. And we're delighted that this, when we do the math, actually creates a much more financially stable and strong Mason Pointe that we look at and say, this has got the ability to be here 15 years, 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, for as far down as we can see, and be a financially stable retirement community, which we believe we need to do in order to meet our contract with you, which is for the rest of your life. So we want to make sure that we're here and able to do that with strength and the confidence to say, this is where the campus needs to be in order for us to live up to our commitment to you. So this is the campus plan. This is hard to look at from where you are perhaps, but all of this work has been done for a while, obviously. That was our first big expansions. Over here is where we've been doing that phase 1, phase 2, and I think there's a phase 3 that is the memory support neighborhood. But down here is where the next part of the project is. We call that the Hillside building, right? Okay, yeah, that's Hillside. And it's changing. And this is a horrible design to show you, but it's going from being kind of a little bit of a triangle shape or an upside down Y building to what's really a square, pointed out, here, 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 and here, with a little opening here, and a nice plaza in the middle, and this is where the Y was. But the Y only comes to here and to here, and all of this, which is currently where the road is, we're having to move the road out to go around the new building to add the number of apartments that we need to add. So that shouldn't be new to you. What is new is that we actually found a way to move the retaining wall system here and the road about 10 feet closer to the building than we had originally proposed. So we can tighten it up make it a little bit nicer design for our perspective as well as for the surrounding neighbors' perspective. It gets a little bit farther from their homes, a little bit more compact for us. There's still room on the outside for a sidewalk here, so you don't have to, if you're walking the loop, you don't have to worry about being pushed by cars there. And all of that is going to be a very nice design, and that gives us the additional 75 apartments to really provide the financial strength that we need for the future. This is a picture of what it'll look like, harder to see maybe from where you are, but this is the retaining walls. You can see it as it turns the corner. You can see the different layers. It sort of goes up, sort of terraces in a little bit, and this is what the building will look like. Now, underneath is going to be the parking garage. First floor is entry apartments. Oops.
She's giving you a laser pointer around.
Oh, okay. Great. Just, now I'm dangerous. Here's the entrance and exit for the parking garage as it comes off of this road. And then this first floor is apartments, and I think there's some welcome space as you come through interior back in here. There's a little reception desk, and there's a lounge, like a open area here, and open area here for activities and gatherings. The second floor in it has a sports bar right here. And I hate to say it, that's all going to be Cardinals stuff. Right? So if you're a Cubs fan, it's probably not the right building for you. But here's where we are at the sports bar, and right above it is a lovely wine bar. So two new, really, dining venues, different ways to enjoy your dining dollars and come in and greet and meet other people, watch a game, or sit and do a champagne flight like my wife loves to do, and enjoy some social company. But that is really the outline of the new building. On the other side of that hill, that up here, we're doing some grading, and we're actually having to remove some trees in this area, and we're having to replace a bunch of trees. So we are installing 156 new trees, which is 66 more than we're taking out. So we're taking out 90 and adding 156 trees. 74 of those 90 trees are going to be up along that top of that retaining wall system, and many of them will be evergreen. And of course, the goal is to create a visual barrier between us and the neighbors that live up on the other side of that pond. So this just sort of goes through. By moving that retaining wall closer to the building, we're able to save 9 extra significant trees. And I think that's definitely worthwhile. It really didn't change the cost of the project. It just allowed us to be a little bit more sensitive to those trees, beautiful trees that are up there. And no landmark trees. There's no those significant large landmark trees up there that we're having to take down at all. So I just wanted to, I'm not going to go through this in detail. I can make this available if you're interested in some of this stuff, but I'm just going to quickly go. You know, we have intrigue. This are the concerns we heard from the neighbors, from the planning, zoning, from people in the community. Perhaps some of you had some of these concerns as well. Increased traffic and noise as we get, the perception is we're getting larger. And the reality is that we're actually reducing the number of combined units from 432 to 378 because we're getting rid of so many skilled nursing beds, 200 skilled nursing beds in this process. We're actually ending up with less high staff needs beds, and we're adding more moderate staff needs and lower staff needs in independent living, assisted living, and memory support, which results in 500 fewer staff shifts per week, which is nice because you all know we have a hard time hiring staff anyway, right? Okay, now we have to hire fewer, which is wonderful for us. And, you know, along the way, it also, again, creates a more financially strong economic engine, which means I believe, and Valerie believes, you know, that gives us the ability to hire the staff we need to. Because we'll have a little bit more room in the budget to increase wages, to make sure that our staff are appropriately paid, and hopefully be able to retain our staff longer. This year, our staff retention is better than it was last year, and last year was much better than it was the year before. So retention is improving, but at the same time, we aren't where we need to be yet, so we understand that. People are worried about increased utilization as we get bigger. You know, the neighbors will say, well, you've got a lot of older people there, that's going to mean more paramedics. The truth is most of the EMS trips to the campus now are really related to the nursing home, the care center, and the REACH building. When it was, do we have a separate REACH building here, or was it no? But it was really more to the skilled nursing services, and by decreasing our reliance on that and the number of beds that we have, it's going to be a lot fewer EMS trips. They also say we don't pay our fair share of taxes because we're a nonprofit. Well, that's kind of the point of being a nonprofit. But we are paying a lot of fees to the city in this process, over $200,000 in various fees. And we've told the city, if you levy taxes against all the other nonprofits in the area that apply to us, we will pay those taxes. So we absolutely are committed to paying our fair share of taxes, but we're not going to pay taxes just Mason Pointe taxes. We have to have some level of continuity and consistency of how nonprofit organizations are treated within town and country for us to pay those taxes, those local taxes. And we have that same arrangement with the county, and we do pay our fair share of taxes to the county, the same as all the other nonprofit retirement communities. They're saying that there's a possibility that we could sell Mason Pointe and just use it for open market housing, and we're never going to do that forever. So that we're here for your lifetime and our lifetimes, and that's what we're doing. They say we're breaking promises because there were some verbal commitments that were made and references to those. And really, at this point, what we're saying is whether they were promises or not, and they had to do with the number of when we would come back with the need to change and build more construction on this property. We're saying to our neighbors and to the city, we understand those were promises. What we didn't understand was the magnitude of the changes that COVID and the healthcare system was going to demand of us. And so we're asking you to renegotiate those promises. So that it's not really a broken, but we're asking just can we work together as a community to help us be successful, because we want this campus to be here for a long time and serve the citizens of town and country for generations to come. They were concerned about the height of the building. We're sticking below the 55-foot mark, which is what we committed to before. Concerned about will they be able to see our building from the top of their the properties, and we've added the height of the retaining wall to provide a visual barrier, as well as adding all those evergreen trees that will fill in beautifully. And we actually lowered the top of the building by, it says 12 feet, which was a typo. It was only 12 inches here. Actually, I think it's a little bit more like 15 inches from what we originally proposed. So we are doing our best to be good, responsive neighbors. Concerns about light, we've done a photometric study. It says it's not going to affect anybody. Concerned that we were building too close to the neighbors. We pulled everything back twice now. We've moved it way back away from them, and we think that's successful. And they said that we're removing trees, and we really are saving more trees than in the new design as well. A couple other things. Traffic hazards. They're saying, as we pull out of our entrances 1 and 2, a lot of times we are going from 0 miles an hour trying to get up to speed while people are accelerating trying to get on the freeway, and people trying to decelerate coming off the freeway. I call it a freeway. What is it? You call it a highway, the highway. And it's sort of this place where a lot of different speeds are coexisting at the same time. And as I looked at it today, originally we thought entrance 1 was probably the one we need to consider. Now I think maybe it's entrance 2, where it's right in the middle of that combination of going on. But we're looking at that and considering, can we make one of those entrances an entrance only rather than an exit as well? So people could exit at the other 2, but they wouldn't be pulling out and trying to accelerate in the middle of all that on-flow and off-flow from the highway. So we're looking at that. You probably have opinions about that, but I'd ask you to think about it. We have to work with Missouri Department of Transportation if we want to change that, and we're open to those conversations, and happy to have them. In fact, we're planning on having them, but we can't do that today. But if you have thoughts about that, we'd love to hear it. Concerned about light pollution on the outside, so we'd agree on the outside of the wine bar and the outside of the sports bar, we're actually going to have a light blocking shade system that's very fancy. It's just going to be a shade that pulls down over the windows, but the motor's going to be connected to a photo cell. So just like when the street lights come on automatically, those shades are going to drop so that the light from inside the building doesn't blare out. We think that that's a good solution. And we've agreed to a 10-year moratorium on new construction here. After we build this building, if we can get this approved, we've agreed we're not going to expand any of the buildings for 10 years. So this is sort of our one shot for this decade of we're still going to do internal work. We have to between apartments, and we have to renovate stuff, and some things are going to need to change. They're going to say, hey, we don't need this anymore. Can we change it into that? And we're going to say, that's a great idea. We'll help you get that done. All that stuff inside the building we'll be able to work on. Stuff outside the building we won't be able to do for a decade. And right at the top of the hill, all the way to, there's a little pond. If you go up the hill and beyond, we're going to say we will never build there ever. We're going to leave that an open space because we think that that's, first of all, it's an appropriate use of that property, and we think it's going to be enjoyed by everybody. So we're going to leave that as an open space. We're going to make that I think it's an open space easement is what the city will call it, but we're going to make that an open space for everybody in permanence. So we think that's a nice, and this is where that's at. So here's the new building. You can see it maybe a little bit better in its shape here. Here's the road, here's the retaining walls. All the new trees are going through here. And then this yellow is what we're saying, yep, this is our permanent open space. We're just going to have that be a nice little park for everybody to enjoy. It doesn't make sense for us to build up here. So we think that's a nice addition, and that, again, helps us be a nice part of the community. We're adding something to Town and Country that doesn't exist today. Why? Because we're going to be here forever, and we want this to be a wonderful community as well as the neighbors who are going to be here for a couple more decades. So, any questions from you about where we are with the project? And the reason why we're talking about this today is that we're going back into the process. We're heading into a planning and zoning meeting. We are heading into an architectural review board meeting, and we're heading back to the Board of Aldermen in probably the end of July or early August to try to get approval for this. We didn't get it the last time, and we definitely want to take another shot at it. We've had a lot of discussions with the city, some discussions with the neighbor, and having another meeting with the most opponent neighbors this week. And we're very close, I think, to having a handshake that will give, with these assurances, I think they will say, and we agree not to oppose the project, which will give us, I think, a pathway to get approval for it, hopefully this summer. So, can I take any questions?
Mark's got the mic.
Yeah, we have a question up here.
I believe August is the only month without any holidays. Some months have 2 holidays. We have no parking here. Where are you going to put extra when families and friends come to visit? We had a situation here on Thursday that there was a meeting of 20 people, 20 guests, and I had 5 guests, and there were other parties going on all at the same time, and people were parking on the road out here, and I had to go get someone from the closed door to bring them down. So how are we going to handle parking in the future?
I think it's a great question. I don't have an answer for it. Wade? So one of my disadvantages, I wasn't here when we went through the master planning that got us this plan. So I don't know the history of it. I don't know if we did on-site parking studies. I don't know if we have the opportunity on-site. Maybe Greg or Chris, actually Todd, might have some solutions. I just want to say I was here for that day too, and I parked way down there and huffed it in. And fortunately it was a cool day. By the time I got here, it was glowing. So Todd,
Hi, I'm Todd Hageman. I'm the in-house architect for LSS. What we are doing is on the north side of the campus, where a lot of the employee parking is, we're adding a main entry into the building from that side. So you're going to have less employees parking over there, and so there'll be more residents that can, and visitors that can park over there and come in from the north side. Also, all the new apartments, they're going to have the parking in the garage, so those residents park there. And then there's going to be a few extra parking spaces outside of the main entry of the community center. So.
My guess is that that will help. Probably won't solve everything, but it'll be a help. So I'm glad that these guys were on it when we were doing this planning, because that's a good answer. Other questions? Yes, back here. The mic is on its way.
I understand the hillside project is to a certain extent distinguished from these people living in this area. We obviously share this meeting room. We share dining facilities. I don't recall you mentioning how the two groups separated physically would be able to assemble in one room of this size or have meals together.
Well, one of the things that we're hoping is that by having more dining venues, that people will not necessarily just be eating in the same spot at one time, and will have the ability to go and have a meal in the sports bar, and may end up having, I'm speaking completely extemporaneously here, so Wade can take notes. We may end up with some lunch service in the wine bar as well, so that there's more opportunities for people to be adventurous in how they meet their needs for dining. But I will say that it is our hope that it's never those people and these people, that it's one community, that there's connections between the buildings where people can come and go, that it's not a separate group, that they are Mason Pointe residents just like you're Mason Pointe residents, and that very quickly you come together as one group. So when we have a big meeting and we've got an extra 70 people, or I'm going to guess based on the number of here, probably another 30 people, that we can either find ways to have people come in, or we can try new things. Valerie and I were exchanging emails this morning about maybe we can even do the simulcast situation, where we have another room that has the screen and we have the video camera right now, we could hook it up and show it, somebody there to field the questions and send them to us, and we can do the whole thing simulcast. I know that's what a lot of churches do when they sort of outgrow their sanctuary size, they need to do something more. We can also work on internal modifications. As I mentioned, we can possibly open this up in a different way and create more seating in here than what we have today.
And I just wanted to note, none of our communities have a space large enough to hold every single independent living resident. That would be a really, really, really big space. So none of our communities have a space big enough for every single resident in the independent living. Not everybody participates in everything, and like Ron and I were talking this morning, are the other options that we'll be able to use. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. And in 10 years, we can build another something if we need to.
Along that same line, I was just wondering, we have parties frequently, and I know we have to cut off this room with entertainment for, I think, 100 people, if I'm not mistaken. And when we add that many more, we will never have a party that would really offer the opportunity for all to participate.
Well, I have been an executive director of communities like Mason Pointe for the better part of 30 years. So I have been an ED just like Wade is, and Drew was, and Valerie has been. And we all know that there's a lot of ways you can operationally be creative to help an important event like a Halloween party or a Mother's Day brunch or whatever it might be happen successfully, even with a large number of people and a large number of guests. And so I think what we're going to be doing is supporting you and Wade in figuring out creatively how these bigger events can happen after we have more people that live here and participate in those, and more guests on top of that, to make it successful. And if we need to have some dollars available to create interior space that's a little different than what we have today, we can do that. That's certainly available to the EDs.
Also think of it this way, when you have a party in your home, it's typically not just in one room. So we could have a party, a big party, because we have a lot of space right below us where the cocktails are in the bar. We have the space back underneath the chapel. So we can have a 2-story party as well and hold a lot of people. So just kind of think about things like that, because operationally that's what we'll be thinking about. And I'm looking at the party planner over there.
Does she do a good job planning these parties? Let's give her a round of applause, because, yeah. Other questions? Yes.
All of this sounds pretty good, but how long is construction, demolition and construction going to take? How inconvenient are we going to be by big trucks tearing up the roads?
Yes.
Oh, that, by the way, are you going to start another restaurant? Because if you got 2 different locations and bars, food going from here, a small section, they barely keep up with us here. Are you going to put a sports bar restaurant someplace?
Yes, we are. Good questions. Chris, Todd can handle the questions, probably all those questions. So, thank you, Todd.
So basically, in addition to the sports bar and the wine bar, we're going to have another bistro, which is going to be located down where the employee lunchroom is. So that's going to be a bistro that's pretty large. It'll accommodate maybe about 100 people at tables and chairs. So that'll be an added dining venue.
Construction.
And how long is construction going to take?
It could be 18 months to 2 years.
All right, so you're going to close down one of the entrance exits here for construction, demolition and materials coming in.
So he asked about construction entrances for trucks and stuff like that. That's still being worked out with the general contractor, who's going to be BSI. But we're still working on that. All those details still need to be ironed out.
Good questions. Yes.
The food venue has been a real problem since the beginning here, and many times it's a real fiasco. How are you going to be able to serve a 50% increase in residency with the dining facilities that we have and the kitchen facilities that we have? Will there be an increase in staffing in these areas? And there's no increase from what I saw in common areas, whether it be the pool or a gym or anything like that. All the facilities that we have now are going to be handled or being used by an additional 50% increase in population. But most important, have you had outside consultants come in and look at the plans to make sure that going forward, the food issue, which is major for old people, doesn't continue?
Well, remember that the kitchen has been able to, the food production has been able to support a very large skilled nursing facility, 3 meals a day. And that burden is coming way down while we're adding an additional 75 households for dependent living. And we all know that 75 apartments is probably going to be about 95 residents, maybe 100 at the most, I would say, just between singles and couples moving in. So we're losing a lot of people that today are getting fed and adding some more who would be new food to provide. Complex is, yes, it's going to different venues now, and we'll support that. And you asked whether we've had somebody look at that. We've had a lot of design professionals involved in this project from the very beginning. We do not have a kitchen, I don't think we have a kitchen designer, do we? Wow, Yeah, we do have a kitchen designer. So yes, we've had professionals in and looking at the meal load and all of that as we look at how we can shape the kitchen and the food production here. The other amenities, we're adding some flexible spaces, some activity rooms, some meeting rooms, dining venues, but we're not increasing the size of the pool. I don't know if we're increasing the size of the fitness center. And there for sure will be growing pains. And part of that is all right, we'll figure that out. We would hate to overbuild out of the gate, but that gives us something to look forward to how we can figure out what lifestyle looks like in another 3 years or 4 years, and with people that are moving in brand new to Mason Pointe, whether they're moving into the new building or some of you want to move into the new building and they're moving into your apartment, they're going to be brand new to us, and what their lifestyle is like and what their expectations out of living here are. They may decide that they would rather have an indoor pickleball thing than a dance hall. I don't know. So part of that is we really need to have some flexibility in our thinking operationally as we go forward, and knowing that yes, we're going to have some pain along the way, but it's not unlike any change in any community with a lot of people with a lot of opinions and a lot of expectations, and we want to do our best to meet everybody's expectations, and we think that we've added enough flexibility in this plan to get us where we need to get, and if we miss something, then we'll have to figure that out and go forward. That's the honest answer. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it won't be a problem, but I'll sit here and tell you when problems come up, we'll solve them with you.
So it's 10 till 12, and we still have our PowerPoint to get through. So I just want to see if there's any other questions before we move on to our typical meeting.
Yes.
Yes, I didn't see where that was.
We're having trouble with our water.
Okay, that's coming. Can you hold on just a second?
No.
Okay.
All right, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so we did our introduction and we've done our construction update. So I'm going to go through a few more things that are on the agenda. I know this is very small and hard to see today. But the next thing I wanted to talk about was Wave of Kindness. We are actually going to be putting the Wave of Kindness on hold for the summer. And the reason for that is we really need to do a review of the Wave of Kindness program and really determine if we need to do any tweaks to this program. So just hold on to that, but that'll be on hold for now. And next is committee updates. So I'm going to turn it over to Building and Grounds.
Thank you. Building and Grounds met on Thursday of last week. Our goal was to look at all of the things that have been kind of hanging out there, not quite complete or perhaps absolutely untouched, and out of those establish some priorities in the area of must-do, safety items, costs, and lifestyle enrichment. Our intent was to provide Building and Grounds perspective for Wade and Dale as they come on board and begin to work with us to run the facility. The items that the Building and Grounds Committee had consensus on, the must resolve were silverfish. Everybody knows about that. It's not everywhere, but it is somewhere, and it's a bit aggravating. Use of contaminated water, that question just came up. That's on the must list. On safety, we need to level the sidewalk on the north side of the parking lot along the building. There are 2 slabs there that are uneven. They're not even marked as a hazard, but they need to be leveled. We have geese on site and some moles. That creates other kinds of problems, and those geese and mole issues need to be resolved. The Building and Grounds Committee recommendation would be drop the sauna project. That can go either in cost or it could go in safety. We need to resolve the unfinished landscape items and resolve planning approach. That'll come in the fall. We can't do that now with the heat of the summer. The dog park has at times been used for dumping of materials out of the construction site. So from time to time we get nails and other hazards out there. It's a hazard to the dogs, hazard to the people, and we need to find someplace else for a contractor to go with those. And while we're working on that, we need to change the lock on the gate for the dog park so it's a latch lock rather than a house key. In the area of enrichment, we've settled on one of the windows going to be washed, one of the decks going to be clean, or we're still doing deep cleaning of apartments. And with that, that concluded our meeting. And that's a consensus of the 6 of us, with me taking care of Narb Loeb's consensus because he had his pride in the right place. Mark had a doctor's appointment. That's where Norm needed to be. Any questions? Yes.
Okay, I guess I get no mic. I thought I understood that the...
Just a second.
Oh, okay.
We have one. He was using the other.
All right.
I thought I understood the lock, the gate you're talking about over by the dog park. It's not key. No, you just press it really hard with your thumb and it'll pop open.
Okay. I stand corrected. Thank you, Joyce. Any other questions?
Some of those come up in my hot topics.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. While we're waiting for employee appreciation to come up, I do want to take a moment to thank you so much for your patience with me during this interim time. So thank you very much. You've been very kind and patient with me. So, Becky.
Yes, I am filling in for the committee chair today. Very quickly, because I know we've got a full agenda, they just wanted me to remind everyone that even though we're not doing the waves of kindness, the committee and everyone working together had created our little thank you notepads. All of you received notepads. We have hundreds of them, so when you use all of them, feel free to pick up some more. Sometimes it is that little tiny note that you write thank you and throw it in the housekeeper's basket that day when they're cleaning for you. Maybe maintenance came in and cleaned your filter on your air conditioner and you can go, you're so cool, thanks. Sometimes it's these little things that mean the most. So we have plenty, please be sure and use them. They also wanted me to remind you that thanks to your generosity and all of our families and friends who help participate in our Resident Employee Appreciation Fund, the employee picnic is next month, and every employee will be receiving a special gift from the Resident Employee Appreciation. So you're doing great things. We're beginning to do a lot more things. The committee's looking at some monthly activities and things that will occur to show appreciation to the staff. Not only with our special Christmas financial thank you, which is the big thing we do, but a lot of little things throughout the year to show appreciation. So I don't think anyone has any questions. Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Anybody have any questions? Does anybody have a question? No? Okay. Food.
Hello. I'm going to be real quick, and I'm going to ask that you take any questions or comments you have to your representative for the Food Committee, just because of the time today. One thing I want to say in line up with employee appreciation is I am organizing the Granny Gang to serve the employees at, that's the name the staff is given, volunteers, to serve the staff at the employee party, which is July 17th. So please let me know if you're willing to volunteer. The dining room appearance, I think everyone knows that the dining room and the pub appearance has improved greatly. I am very appreciative. Michelle got on that immediately when we talked about it, and Madison and her team worked during their break hours to assemble everything to get it done, and it looks much, much better. The buffets. So take-home containers, tempting as they may be, and the buffet food has been really good lately. I've gotten all kinds of compliments, especially around the Father's Day buffet, but others as well. The food has been exceptional at the buffets. So people want to take it home. However, that causes shortages on the late end, and also you've paid for your meal not 3 times when you're taking home 3 containers of food. So please only take leftovers from your own plate. Not go back through the buffet line again, tempting as it is for all of us. The servers are going to be, some servers have already started with working with tablets, and they will take your order and convey it directly to the chefs. If this is, they're doing a pilot now, and if this works, then all the servers will eventually have tablets, as you find in many restaurants these days. There is the backyard themed dinners, backyard barbecue, are returning on July the 8th, which happens to be the days that Wade and Dale are starting. So they might want to come. Reservations only. Now, reservations only means for the buffets and for these themed dinners, means we strongly, strongly, strongly recommend reservations, and that you bring the number of people that you've made the reservation for. If you've had extra people, maybe you can make a later reservation. You can check with dining and find out if you can do that. But please stick to your reservations, because we do still have a lot of walk-ins, and they won't refuse you service, but it does create some problems. So please try to stick to the reservations. The food committee, by the way, Thursday at 2 o'clock will have a taste testing for the chef's competition for the backyard barbecue. I know it's late notice, but if you can make it, you may bring a guest, spouse, friend, and those of you who don't know, the chefs compete. So we will be starting those dinners on July the 8th, and the reservations only from 4 to 8 p.m. Now, it is my honor to bring up what I think most of you already know. Madison has been promoted to catering supervisor. Everybody's thrilled about Madison's promotion. And Miss Christine is the independent living supervisor of dining. And everybody is thrilled for her. She is very happy with her position. Madison will be available to you. You may still contact her. She will still be doing it, but you won't see her in the dining room as often as you have before. So please know that Christine is able to do anything that we need. They're both super hardworking ladies and very eager and happy with their new positions. So thank you. If you have an urgent question, please take it to the member of the committee and we will get back to you. But thanks, because we know we're short on time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, lifestyle.
Good morning.
That's all right. Thank you. All right, the duo. Good morning.
There was 2 sheets given out for activities. One was yellow and then the red one, okay? So please recycle the yellow one. And this is the official sheet that you will have regarding activities. Is there any questions about that? Okay. Don't forget to look at the color coding on this sheet because it tells you where the activity is. There's color coding on both sides as far as the enrichment calendar and the wellness calendar. Some people do not realize that they are color coded, so it tells you where they are. We have free treats, I guess is the best word to use, every month. Don't forget the ice cream, the birthday cake, and the tacos.
Good morning. I hope that you were all able to take part in or enjoy several things that we recently had for you. Ken Weintraub spoke on corporations, businesses here in St. Louis that no longer exist. He did a wonderful job. And Esley Hamilton was here again on Homes of the Presidents. And then we had the wonderful Ariana String Quartet Students Group. All of these, as I'm sitting here listening, thinking, oh my goodness, when we expand, how are we going to handle these things? We have some really good activities coming up that are on the sheet. We have the speaker coming to talk about Cahokia Mounds on the 26th of June. Ken Weintraub will return July 9th at 2 o'clock and speak on why the U.S. and its allies won World War II. A friend, Paula Bernhardt, is a wonderful flutist, and as we stand here today, Nancy's been working with the date that she and her flute quartet, Paula's part of the St. Louis Civic Orchestra, and they'll be coming to perform, hopefully it'll be in early August. Len Campanaro, you remember he's the gentleman so knowledgeable about animals. He's coming back. The next date for Len is July 30th. And I'll only say to you, please keep your eyes, ears open, watching the bulletin board and reading your activity sheet. Thanks for being here. And Touchdown, Unigo. Oops, sorry.
I have a real short announcement. The Stages is Wednesday the 26th, and Valerie has assured us that there will be transportation.
Yes.
Will be transportation, correct? Okay. And also, I think there might, the show is still Magnolias, and there might be a ticket or two left for someone that was not able to make it. So if you're interested in one of those 2 tickets I think we have, please let me know. Thank you.
Okay, wellness.
I'm gonna try not to notice this.
Try not to notice this because that's the last item. 4th of July, there will be games and snacks in the pub games area. That's from 12 to 3. Let's see. I'm sorry, I did a lot of notes and scratched them out, so things have changed. John Bruno wanted me to remind you that tomorrow's walk, due to the heat, obviously is not going to be outside. It's going to be inside the building. And then Time to Relax discussion group has moved in July. New time, 3 p.m. And it's a new day also. So it's on your pink sheet. Just check that. Your red sheet. Parkinson's Support Group has changed to the 3rd Thursday of each month. It's still at noon, it's still in the theater, but it's now on the 3rd Thursday. And we have a speaker for you. The wellness speaker on the 24th of July is from Mindful Solutions STL, and it is on mindful breathing. And then, for the really important thing, the 7th of July is National Chocolate Day. So be sure to grab your chocolate bar and have a fun time. And no, you can't share mine, it's all mine. Thank you.
Okay, usually next what we do is club updates, right? Do we have club updates? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Hook and needle?
Judy Meyer and Mary Fisher. I see a few new faces in here. We've had some new move-in people, and I wonder if they even know there's a little shop on 3rd floor called Hook and Needle. But it's not just hook and needle things. We have a lot of donations, paintings, knickknacks, people that have donated things to us, which, by the way, if you have things to donate, we'd appreciate them. And perhaps you have a hobby and make things at your apartment, and you'd like to donate them to us, and we could sell them. All our proceeds go to the Employee Appreciation Fund. We have all kinds of homemade items, coasters, bowl cozies, scarves. We have some, Mary wanted me to mention, or rather, resident paintings now. So come in and see what we have, because you may need a gift, you may need a baby gift. We've got several items that would make really nice baby shower gifts. We have gifts for your grandkids. So if you need to go shopping, check us out first. Cards, greeting cards. We have beautiful greeting cards too. So,
what'd you say?
Sorry.
Door wreath.
Yes,
Yeah.
beautiful
Right.
door wreaths. Yes.
Also, on the subject of cards, we have our wonderful enrichment staff that has donated a whole box of cards to us. And Janet Garvin and I have gone through them and categorized them. So if you need a card at the last minute, these are free to you. So please stop in. There's a lot of them, and we do appreciate that. Also, Pastor David donated a picture of the Last Supper that is done in gold stitching. And we also got a donation of an original piece by Jim Piles, who is an artist here. John Pills. He's also an artist here in the St. Louis area. And the picture illustrates the arch and the surrounding area. We're a little bit ahead of what we donated last year. So far, we're probably $500 more than what we donated last year. But last year we donated $7,500. And over all the years, it's about $17,000. So you make that possible. And we really, really do appreciate that. Any questions?
Stop by Thursdays and Fridays from 2 to 4.
And if you need to get in or you need a gift in the meantime, both Judy and I have keys to the room. Just give us a call.
We take special orders too.
Yes. You're welcome.
Veterans. We have our veterans. Nothing for the veterans today. Thank you. Welcoming. You might as well just stand up here with me.
No. We are so fortunate to have 4 new residents that have just moved in. If you're here, would you please stand up? Dolores Miller, Walter and Barbara Gerse, and they're on the 3rd floor. Dolores is on the 2nd floor. Maureen Baldwin on the 2nd floor. Thank you, Maureen. And Marie Metzger, she's also on the 2nd floor. There she is. Thank you very much.
And workshop. Do we have a workshop update today? No? Okay. Well, many of the things that have already been mentioned are on my hot topics list. So I'll go through these quickly in the essence of time. Communication. So I'm learning as I've been here that we have different methods that we're using amongst residents. We all know that everybody has a different preference for how they receive communication. I'm also learning that some of the ways we're sending these out, some of you aren't receiving. So we'll take a a look at these methods of communication, and we'll keep working through this. So I just wanted to let you know that. Silverfish. So I do have an update. We have had Steve's, as you know. We've had Pioneer come in. We now have Pure Pest, who services some of our other communities. We actually had their person, plus another person, come in this morning, met with myself, Carl, Dale was here, as well as Paul. So they are, you'll see the couple of Pure Pest guys around today if you haven't, because what they're doing is an assessment of the building. They're collecting data, and that will help to for them to develop a short-term and a long-term plan. So we are actively working on this. I don't have any updates on water, just going to be honest with you. So we will continue to work on that. I do know that there are still issues, but I don't have any updates. New resident introductions, as we just had, one of the requests was potentially to have pictures of our new residents up here because they may not attend the meeting, so maybe we can talk about that in our welcoming club. And then notifications of new residents moving in, so back to those communication methods. So that was brought up. Landscaping, don't have anything to update, but I just wanted to put it on here because I hear you and it's on our radar. Annual deep cleaning, same thing. I know that this is also on our radar. We need to get some clarification out about our annual deep cleaning as well as the power washing. The misuse of the car wash spot and reservations. So for the car wash spot, it is being used as a parking spot. Please don't use it as a parking spot. Use it to wash your car and move it. And as was mentioned, reservations. If the staff are not going to turn anybody away from the dining room, but we do have a reservation system when we have the reservations. And if we don't follow the reservations, then it does cause issues with how we supply the food and cook the food. So please, as was mentioned, follow your reservation times. And I also wanted to mention, as was already mentioned, the Father's Day brunch. I heard great feedback about the Father's Day brunch, so I appreciate that positive feedback into Michelle and her team. So I heard the food was really good and it was wonderful. So that was very quick. Our next meeting is Monday, July 29th. Wade will be up here. I know he can't wait. Sue has some announcements.
Okay, thank you. Town and Country Post Office is open as of this morning. I don't know when it did, but it is. An antique barometer was mailed to someone. The heat, the mercury leaked. It was very toxic. That's what happened. The West News, and I brought 2 of the West News magazines. They're down in the mailroom. That's what it looks like. The state treasury every few years sends out a list of unclaimed property, billions of dollars in the state, that you can check it out. Please don't take these 2 to your apartments because they're for everyone to share. Look up, it's alphabetical, and you can do that. I've had over time many people concerned about cost of ambulance services, and you've heard me say many times that Town and Country ambulance service, police, fire, and EMS, there's no cost to residents, and that is the case as long as that call came from within Town and Country, which is our home, and probably St. Missouri Baptist. If you're at St. John's, Chesterfield, if you're at St. Luke's, St. John's I think is Creve Coeur, and then St. Luke's is Chesterfield. Those ambulances will be called to those spots, and that's not West County Fire and EMS. So I talked to Bob Sheldon, city administrator. One option is if a person is well enough to get a ride home and then needs to be transported, get back to Mason Pointe, or have the call come from within Town and Country, and then you should be provided services from West County Fire and EMS, and you won't be charged. Any further questions, let me know. And I don't want to take any more time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Sue. Everybody hungry? Everybody ready for lunch? Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Valerie.